Hello everybody, and today we're going to be going through making a grouped tenancy and what it looks like when having multiple people sign the tenancy agreement. We're not going to be covering holding deposits, application forms and referencing. You can check those steps out in the previous onboarding video as it follows the same process. I am joined with Max, so as per like we did on the last onboarding video, Max is going to be playing as the manager and I'm going to be playing as actually multiple tenants today.
Amazing. Thanks, Claire, for the intro. Let's just kick right off. So the first thing we're gonna do is create a grouped tenancy. What we call a grouped tenancy is instead of having multiple people inside one tenancy, is having multiple tenancies, meaning multiple rent schedule, multiple prices, but all these people will go into the same tenancy agreement. That happens a lot, for instance, for student lettings, and that's why we built this feature. Also, you have to know that what we're going to show for the multiple signature tenancy agreement works for these group tenancies, but it's also work for one tenancy with multiple tenants inside it. So to create a group tenancy, the main thing is that you need to select property that is a multi-let, obviously, because otherwise you wouldn't have multiple tenancies inside it. And for instance, for now, I'm gonna select the room A, and you can see this little text here. This tenancy is not part of a group. Here, I'm gonna change it, and I'm gonna say, yes, it is part of a group. And I'm gonna create first tenant, which is gonna be, sorry for that, Claire tenant one, and mess, and then I'm just gonna fill out the rest. So let's say they start the 1st of June for 6 months. Oh yeah. And their rent is gonna be okay, that's good enough. They have a deposit. And I'm also gonna say that they require Guarantor so that we can show you this part of the process as well. And for the rest, I'm just gonna leave it for later. So this is gonna be the first tenancy created, and we can see it's already there on the tenancy agreement step of the onboarding. And it has this little thing, the double circles to show that it's part of a group. And for instance, if we create a new onboarding, but it also would work if you create a new tenancy. Here I'm gonna also pick the same property, and you're seeing that it comes up automatically like, do you intend to group this tenancy? And yes, because we know there's someone else already in a group in the same status. Here it's proposed. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna have Claire as this second tenant of the group. And you can see here on the onboarding form that some things you cannot move. For instance, the tenancy type, the moving date, the fixed terms. You can change the rent amount. For instance, I could make it 480, but I cannot change the frequency because it's one of those properties that are shared throughout the group, and that makes sure that you're not going to have issues when creating the tenancy agreement, especially when um, using those merge fields that we're going to show later. So let's say that I have a rent of 480. I'm happy with this. I have a deposit scheme. I'm not going to say it requires a guarantor here, and I'm just going to submit. So this is for the tenancy creation part. Most of you already know very much this onboarding form, but that was just a refresher. Now, what we're gonna see is that you always need to generate the rent schedule first. So I'm gonna do that for both of our tenancies. That way, everything is done and we can create a tenancy agreement. So when you deal with grouped tenancies, you're gonna see this first step in the creation of the tenancy agreement. So it's just a reminder of the details we have. We have Claire here that's gonna be in room C with a rent of 480. And we have Maxime. By the way, when you open Maxime and you see there is no guarantor, this button is gonna be red because obviously we want you to fill in the guarantor. So I'm just gonna add the guarantor information here. So that's quite nice because you can add it on the spot. You don't have to change somewhere else in the UI. Okay, just okay. So I'll just add the guarantor info, and you can see here I'm happy now. I have my guarantor. It's here, and the form is telling me you have 4 other rooms in these properties that are not part of this group. Just to inform you, but you can go forward. Then I'm gonna pick the type of signature. Today we're gonna cover e-signature because this is our preferred way of dealing with signatures. Then there's an overview of everything we're gonna use for the data of the tenancy agreement. So the rent in total is gonna be $795 because this is the sum of both rent and the same for deposit, and there is one guarantor for the group. Within this form, you can always jump back to any step if you click on there, and you can go back forward clicking on next. Concerning the templates, if you go on onboarding settings here, clicking the cog, you're gonna see this section, tenancy agreement templates. And here you can have a bunch of templates, which is basically a bundle of documents, which can be PDF or a docx file or even images. And those documents you can use as templates so that you don't have to look for your file in your computer every time you're creating a tenancy agreement. For instance, here we're gonna do the tenancy agreement, sorry. And for instance, I can view it. It's a Word document with a bunch of information here. And you can see it has merge fields, which we will cover a bit later on the form. So let's just move forward. For the guarantor, I want them to sign the guarantor agreement. And here it's gonna detect also that I have a specific guarantor only agreement. So I'm gonna pick that. For something to come up specifically as a guarantor only template, it would be a tenancy agreement template that doesn't have a tenancy agreement contract or additional files, but only a guarantor agreement. But we're getting into the specifics, to be honest, here. So let's just move forward. Also here, if I would, for instance, if I would like to add one more document here, I could by clicking on this add or remove document button. But I'm happy with that. Then it's showing me the additional information we're going to present to the tenants. So basically, compliance information they will need to acknowledge during this step. So it's going to be EICR, EPC, gas safety, HMO license, and outruin guide for both of the tenants. So, okay, that's nice to know. And then we're going to analyze all the documents you've added onto the form to make sure to check for merge fields. If you want to know more about merge fields, we have a whole article on the knowledge base about it. Basically, if you put a document that is docx, which is the Microsoft Word document format, we're gonna scan it for merge fields, and anything that we can replace, we're gonna change it with a value that we know from the tenancy. For instance, the first name, the surname, date of birth, the first rent, the rent schedule, those kind of things, which makes that you can have dynamic templates and you can reuse it, and you don't have to create every time a PDF with the right information. We do it for you basically. But this only works with Microsoft Word document. If you upload a PDF, we cannot scan it, so we're gonna consider it as a document that needs to be served as is. Anyways, here you can see if you want to see everything that we found, some stuff we have value, some stuff we don't have value. For instance, the applicant address, most probably because no one filled an application form and that's why we don't have it. For the rent schedule, you can see that it creates a little table that you can verify all is good. And apart from that, you have also fields that don't have a specific value, but it's for you to enter. So here you could write something if you want. And finally, if you click on preview, we're gonna generate the document as if we were to send it, so that you can just check how it's gonna look. So here we have everything. It seems correct. I'm happy with it. The merge fields, we don't have a value for. They're just gonna be replaced by blank spaces. Yeah, so I have reviewed the merge fields. I'm happy with it. I'm just gonna send it to Claire. So now my job as a manager is done, at least the first part of sending the tenancy agreement. Now it's gonna be up to Claire and Max and their guarantor to sign, and then it will come back to me to confirm. But first I'll pass the screen sharing to Claire so that she shows you the part of the experience for the tenants.
So as a tenant, I've just received my information and I've clicked on the link and it's brought me to this page here. So the first thing that I do need to do is actually create a password so that I can log in, and I need to agree to the terms and conditions. So again, it brings me to this stage. I'm going to very quickly go through this now, but it was covered in the previous onboarding video. It's exactly the same process. So it's just a little bit of basic information about myself. But if you do want more information about that, do go and refer back to the previous onboarding video. So here I am now on my onboarding dashboard, and I can see that the tenancy agreement is in progress here. And what I need to do is view and sign the tenancy agreement. So I'm going to click the button. There I can view and I can download the tenancy agreement that has been served to me. I'm going to click continue. And I've now got all of the compliance documents that have been served to me that I need to acknowledge. So the gas safety is there, EPC, EICR, the HMO license, and the latest copy of the How to Rent guide. So going to click continue again. And now I'm asked to confirm my identity, which I want to do via email. So I'm going to click send email, and it will now send me a verification code. So I've just received my verification code and I've entered that into the correct field, and I'm going to click confirm. Now what I need to do is to click continue because I've confirmed with that verification code, and then basically I'm going to put my signature in the box there and click continue. Now what I need to do is confirm my password. So this is the password that I created when I've just registered my account. And I also need to confirm that I've read and acknowledged the tenancy agreement and any supporting documents. If I don't check that, they will get an error box at the end, which will force them to then check that box because they can't continue without doing so. So I'm going to click sign the tenancy agreement. Now, as we can see, if we look at the top here, it is still in progress because it is actually telling me that the other tenant needs to sign the tenancy agreement and the guarantor also needs to sign the guarantor agreement. So this is in progress. So me as a tenant, I'm waiting for anybody else that is involved in the signing process to do it their end as well.
I think
So
you
as
can
the
start.
second tenant, I've just received my email and been invited to register for an account. So this is going to be exactly the same process of what I've just covered a couple of seconds ago. I'm going to quickly skip through all of this information, but yeah, it is in our last onboarding if you wanted to actually look at the information that tenants can submit. So here I am as a second tenant. I'm going to go ahead and view and sign the tenancy agreement, exactly the same as what we've just seen. So I'm going to acknowledge those compliance documents, going to click continue. I'm also going to verify my identity by getting that verification code through. So I've just received my verification code, which I have entered into the correct fields, and I'm going to click continue. And here I am. I'm going to do my signature as the second tenant and click continue, and then pop in my password. There's that error that I spoke about before. So I do need to confirm that I've read and understood and acknowledged the tenancy agreement and any supporting documents. So as we can see now, on the tenancy agreement stage, it's now waiting for the guarantor to sign the guarantor agreement. So we can see that all tenants have actually signed, so that is all good, but we are waiting for the guarantor to do their signature. So as a guarantor, I have received my email saying that I have a guarantor agreement ready to sign. I've clicked the link. Obviously, guarantors do not need to create an account, so it will bring them straight through to the correct page in order to sign any supporting documents, guarantor agreements, or the tenancy agreement. So here I can click next. I can see all of the information here of where this has come from, what tenant it is in relation to, what the property address is, how much per month, and the deposit information. And I can also view and download a copy of the guarantor agreement that has been issued to me. If I click continue, I'm going to scroll down very slightly, and again I need to confirm my identity via email. So I'm going to click send email, and I'm now, as the guarantor, going to wait for that verification code to come through to my email inbox. So I've received my verification code, I've entered it in the correct field, I'm clicking confirm, and now I can click continue and also confirm my identity via SMS also.
If I can jump in here, Claire, if there's any information that is not correct or the invitation doesn't get to the guarantor because the email is wrong or the phone number is wrong, the manager can always change them within the tenancy page. So if they go to the tenancy page and then look at the tenant summary, they will see the guarantor information there and they can edit it. Though if it was already sent, they will have to replace the tenancy agreement, send it again, so that the guarantor get the invitation correctly.
So I've just received my verification code by SMS, and I'm going to click confirm, and then we're going to click continue. So now we are moving on to the signing of the actual agreement here. So I'm going to sign as the guarantor and click continue. And of course, I need to confirm that I've read and acknowledged this contract and that as a guarantor named in this agreement, and that I understand that I'm e-signing a legally binding document. So I can click sign agreement. And then it's just thanking me for the signing of the guarantor agreement. I can see all of the information and my signature there. And I can, of course, still expand the tenancy agreement step here. I can still view and download the document.
I think that's great. You did all the tenants and the guarantor, so now people watching know how it's going to behave on the other side. Now the last step remaining is for the manager to confirm. This only happens in case of e-signing or wet signature. If you upload an already signed contract, well, all of this that we just showed is not going to happen because you just put something that is already signed. nevertheless, if you use e-signature or wet signature, this is more or less the same process that is going to happen. For e-signing, this is exactly what you just saw. For wet signature, people will not have to do the little scribble as a signature, but they will have to download the contract, sign it in some manual form, and re-upload it. Anyways, I'm going to take the screen sharing now, and I'm going to show you how it looks for the manager now. So now you can see I didn't even refresh anything, but it comes up correctly. I see that e-sign by 2 tenants on the 12th and e-sign by a guarantor. I can still see the unsigned contracts. I can see on the compliance that the documents are there, but I'm going to focus on view and confirm, which is the thing we want to show you. So on the confirm agreement form, we have the little scribble for everyone, their name and when they signed. We have the document acknowledgement, and I can review the guarantor signature. It says also that they signed a different agreement, which is nice. By default, it's gonna tell me that I want to sign on behalf of another person. This is most probably because the property is managed and we are managing it for a specific landlord, which is Forgate Flats Ltd in this case. So I'm gonna also have to confirm my identity. Now I got my verification code, so I'm just gonna paste it in and confirm. I'm gonna sign and I'm gonna confirm my passwords. And I'm gonna say that, yeah, I agree with anything legally binding, and I'm gonna submit. And that should be you done with the tenancy agreement step of the process. So here, if we reopen the section, you're gonna see you have your signed contract. So part of your signed contract when you do e-signature is 2 documents. First, an e-signature receipt, which is an additional document that we generate upon confirmation with all the tenant signature. You can see them here. You can see some legally binding information in case you have to go in court, all those kind of things. And you also have the manager signature, and you also have the tenancy. So you also have the tenancy agreement PDF, but in the end we added a last page with the signature as well in the document, so that you don't really necessarily have to have any signature merge fields into your template. Anyways, we're gonna add a back page at the very end with everything so that you don't get confused. And because we had a specific signature guarantor agreement, we also have the same, but for the guarantor agreement, so an e-signature receipt with the guarantor signature and the manager signature. You saw on the confirmation that I only signed once. I only did the scribble once, but it works for both documents, and in both documents we're gonna apply it. And same for the guarantor agreement PDF. It's here. I have my information, but I also have my back page. And so this is how it works. You can still see the original documents if you need to. And that's pretty much it. And now you have a signed tenancy agreement, and you're good to finish whatever process you're doing with the onboarding of a new tenancy. I would suggest that you guys go through the troubleshooting guide, tenancy agreements, part of our knowledge base. To know more about all of this topic, we have a bunch of articles that explains everything, especially the merge field guides, group tenancies and joint tenancies a bit more in details, and all that we discussed here are also in this article called Tenancy Agreements Explained. So have a look at them, read through them, and hopefully after this, you will be ready to do any kind of tenancy agreement within Coho. Do you have anything
Great
to add,
stuff.
Claire?
Yeah, just to obviously, this is going to accompany the previous onboarding webinar video that myself and Max did a couple of months ago now. So, if you want to learn about how holding deposits work in general, whether it be for multiple tenants or just one tenant, then do go and have a look at that video as well. That is uploaded to our YouTube channel. I've added a load of timestamps as well in the description so that you can easily get to the section of that video that you do want to sort of go over. But yeah, we go over a full onboarding from start to finish, covering all those individual sections that we have left out of this because we have previously done it. They're going to work in exactly the same way. You're just going to be sending an application form out to multiple tenants. They will all fill them out and you'll get all of that information back in. But how it works is exactly the same. Purpose of this video was just to explain what it is like to make a grouped tenancy and what it looks like to have multiple people sign those tenancy agreements, and then obviously having a look at the guarantor side as well. So yeah, we do hope that that has been helpful for anybody. Thank you very much.
Thanks.